rocking with some of the realest coaches in the game. Coach RB and Coach CB. Area code 459.
What up, Area Code 459? It's your boy, Coach B. I'm here with my dog, Coach CB. What's up, CB?
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm super excited about a special guest we got in the house today. But before we get to our special guest, let's thank some people.
I want to give a shout out to In-House Inc. for the awesome logo that they've created behind us. Also want to give a shout out to J Made Crafts for all the household items that she's made and helping us get all of our t-shirts and everything together. Also want to give a huge shout out to our guy, George Frost, for getting our East Bay store up and running. If you want our logo on all your favorite Nike Jordan apparel, make sure you hit that link below. Also can't forget all of our friends and our family who supported us along this journey. And most importantly, God for giving us the vision for Area Code 459.
Man, I'm super excited. We're talking about the transition as our mini series, and we're looking at the big picture. But before we can introduce that big picture episode, go ahead and introduce our guest.
I'm super excited to introduce to you guys one of my good friends. She's originally from Oklahoma, and then she attended the University of Tennessee for college. There she earned her bachelor's degree in sports management and was a team manager for the women's basketball program for 3 years. After graduating, that's when she really began her college coaching career. She has stints at Fresno State, UC Santa Barbara, Boise State, and Hawaii. Now she is a part of the Dayton Flyer family, where she spends her time contributing to the women's basketball program. Let's welcome to the show, Coach Calamity McEntire. How you doing, Calamity?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
The energy is unbelievable, by the way. I love it. Love it. This is going to be great.
Well, thank you, Miss Calamity. We really appreciate it, man. I'm super excited. I get the opportunity to introduce the episode. This is our mini series called The Transition, and we're looking at the big picture. Tonight, I get the opportunity to introduce this episode. Today, we were talking about the transition and just putting it all together, like creating a big picture. As much as I like to take credit for this, I really can't. This is a story that was told by one of my good friends and my business partner. And this episode reminds me of her story that she talks about the stained glass. I've been in many churches and I see stained glass in the windows. And she talks about how each stained glass has its own unique story. She explains to me that when you take each little piece, it's shaped and bezeled and it makes its own little story. And you can't really understand the story when it's by itself. But when you take all those pieces and you put it together, it formulates a picture and it shows something that's super amazing. Well, we're going to look at that today, and we talk about our transition, and we're saying, hey, we want to see what it looks like when you put all these things together and you tend to evolve throughout your life. So the first question I have for you, Calamity, are what are some of the different phases of transitions in your life and that you use as life lessons and help define you as a whole?
Yeah. Oh, good question. For me, a transition usually means leaving one place and going to another. CB was just talking about, my coaching career. And for me, there's been a lot of transitions. And whenever God put it on my heart to be a coach, my commitment to him was that I would go when he said go. And so for me, those transitions always come about in a manner of new opportunities, new relationships, new opportunities to grow and give and serve. And so for me, I don't know. I've just always made it about being where I'm at. And I don't know that any of them, I would say, define me, but I would hope that they've molded me and kind of helped me grow through each transition that I've made and each stop that I've made.
I love that you talk about growth because my next question is, how would you use these transitions as leverage for your life? Like, how did they, again, help you grow? How did you use each transition as a leverage?
Yeah, leverage is a hard word for me because I don't know that. I don't know about leverage. I know that like every single place I've been has helped mold me into the person that I am today. And so there's been different growth opportunities at every spot, whether it, you know, moving all the way across the country for my very first job at 23 years old, moving out to California, or, you know, us getting let go at the University of Arizona and then God sending me out to Hawaii for 10 months and putting me in a completely different culture. And I just think every single place I've been has like contributed to who I am today.
Wow. Hawaii for 10 months. Can I get Hawaii for 2 weeks after COVID though, post COVID? Man, that is super exciting. I really do like how you said that you use your story and your faith, and you said, you know, where he says go, you go, and you look at for new opportunities, new relationships, buying in, molding, growing. I mean, those all look like leverages to me, and that sounds super exciting. And that sounds like a recipe for success. So my next question would be, success is defined in many different ways, and it's defined by people different ways, and by different people they talk about success in different levels. What are some key components to successful living for you?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people look at success like an end result, and for me, it's like a daily thing. It's what have I done today that has made today successful. And I've always believed in working really hard and treating people well, and those are two things that are like staples in my life. So for me, at the end of the day, if I can sit down and say I did those two things, great. If I can say that I served my purpose today, I feel like that's a successful day. If I can say I helped someone, if I can say that I put God first and made sure that I was in line and aligned with what he wanted me to do that day, then I would say it's a successful day.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you say that you have success every day, because that's something that I really believe in. You know, like we talk a whole lot, and I always tell you that I'm doing great. You know, but I'll be honest with you and tell you like what's going on in my life. But I always believe that if I wake up, I'm breathing, I get to live for God today, I get to go out and do what I love to do. Like I'm really truly doing great, no matter what circumstance or challenge that I may face that day. And you know, now have like seeing you, coach, and I've seen you come full circle. You know, you were a kid, now you're an adult. You were a student, and now you're an employee. Like you've been mentored, and now you're primarily in a place where you mentor other people. How do you help your student athletes, the ones that you work with every day, piece together these transition phases to help them see the bigger picture? Because I know sometimes we can get hung up on what happened today, and it can affect us for weeks to come. How do you help them move on from that and put it all together so they don't get stuck, but they can continue to move and grow and evolve?
Yeah. You know, it's funny, our program here at the University of Dayton, the way we approach that is exactly how I approach it every day in my life. And so we talk, everything's one way. When we talk about doing things one at a time every single day, not getting too far ahead, not looking too far behind, but being in the moment, be where your feet are and serve the purpose you can serve right then and there. And that may be, like you said, struggling through something, having a lesson learned, making a mistake, and not staying right there too long because we've got the next minute, the next hour, like whatever's coming next. And so really and truly just being in the moment. And that doesn't mean not setting goals and looking forward and striving and not learning from the past, but really and truly letting go of what you need to let go of, taking with you what you need to take with you, and just letting those bricks continue to be laid. It's such a process as you continue to just chip away at it every single day. And when you're doing that, you can feel fulfilled at the end of the day with the little successes that we talked about earlier.
Man, here at AirCore 459, we always talk about relationships, and we actually, in our last mini-series, we were talking about building relationships over transactions, and it's so great that you said, be where your feet are, because I feel sometimes in relationships, I feel sometimes in your life, you're always trying to move on to the next thing. You forget about being in the moment where you are right then and there. So I thought that was really, really good, and, you know, you talking about serving your purpose and being successful daily. And I'm glad that you said that your success is not an end result. It's actually, you know, a daily thing for you, because this kind of molded my question a little bit different, but I love how it moved organically. And as we continue this mini series and we talk about transitions, we talked about transitioning from points of life, like, you know, CB just said, from childhood to adulthood, from mentor to mentee. When you reach that pinnacle of success, do you feel there is a place for reflection and growth?
When you say pinnacle of success, what does that mean to you?
When I say pinnacle of success, so I'm talking about if you strive for your daily successes every day, if you're being in the moment, if you're serving your purpose, if you're putting God first, do you still feel there is another place of reflection and growth from that daily success?
Gotcha. Absolutely. I think one of the most, I think, yeah, one of the most underrated qualities, I would say, is being able to look at yourself and self-reflect in a very realistic manner. Because you can be way too hard on yourself, or you can think everything you did was just totally outstanding. But I think when you can self-reflect honestly and see, you know, where could I grow? Where could I have been better? Where did I do pretty good? I think when you get to that point and you can be really honest in that, I think you're on to something, and that will lead you into the next day, the next phase, the next step. I've never really looked at that. You kind of opened my eyes a little bit, because whenever I think pinnacle of success, I think like you've reached a point that, like, I don't know that I believe in that, because there's always further to go. There's always more to grow. But I've never really looked at it like a daily pinnacle. Now you got me really thinking about that.
Yeah, there you go.
I hadn't looked at it like that. So no, that's good. I'm going to have to ponder that one a little bit.
There you go. I twist arms sometimes. It's okay.
I felt totally twisted just now. Thank you.
Well, when I twist your arm, just throw me an answer back and twist my leg. It's all good. I need to be.
No, you got it. That's great. I love it. You're going to make me think a little bit.
One thing that you mentioned that really caught my eye and my ears is like, you live 2 feet in every day. I know that's something that you've really tried to push me to do, try to push me to grow, because we get so focused on what's next, like Coach B was saying, on college decision, on job decision, on where I'm going to live, like all this stuff. And we plan so much for our future, but we forget to live 2 feet in every day. And I was watching a show, everybody knows the show All American, and it hit me really hard, because we tend to do this in our life. But the daughter in the show said, y'all are so goal-oriented that you forget to live in the present, and I'm in the present, and you guys stop seeing me. And I feel like a lot of times we do that with the people around us. We're so focused on the present. We're so focused on the future that we forget to look and be around the people that live in the present today. And that can tend to hurt those around us. But my question is how do you live 2 feet in every day? What are some things that you do that help you stay focused on that?
Yeah, I pray a lot. And I laugh whenever I say that, but I mean it. I think we live in a society that it's a hurry up society. It's a rush through it society. And how much can you get done today? You know, if you didn't, work every single hour of the day, then maybe you weren't getting it done. Or, we just rush through everything. So for me, I think my prayer life is extremely important, and constantly refocusing back on God, because I'm as guilty as the next person of getting caught up and needing to go, let me come back. I also think something that's really important is watching what my intake is. So we talked about, hurrying and stuff, but we're constantly getting fed. So people are constantly telling us that somebody's going to get fed this podcast. So we constantly have intake, social media, people calling, text message, all the things. But I think we have to filter those and really protect just really what we're digesting. Music even, because all of a sudden now your thoughts becomes your words become your actions. Now we keep going, and now we're into habits and character and now our destiny. And so that's something that I really, I'm careful about what my intake is, because I want to make sure that the things that I've been working on are things that are the focus, and that those don't get skewed by outside sources.
There you go. See, when she's successful every day, she reflects and then she looks back on what she can do better. I like it. No, we had I I'm gonna go back kind of back what you said earlier, what CB just said about the 2 feet. And I've been I said this a couple of series ago. When I get out of the bed, I put my 2 feet on the ground and I say yes to myself. Like
I
it's like
love
an
that.
everyday thing that I do, and I've been doing it actually since March the 13th, 2020. So it's one of those things where I've seen so much growth in my life just by putting those 2 feet down and and saying yes. But also we had Mr. Jason Wells on here in our last mini series too, and he talked about actually going and doing your day in 90-minute blocks. He was talking about how he's successful. He goes in 90-minute blocks, and he might work for 90 minutes. He might reflect for 90 minutes. He might pray for 90 minutes. And when I started doing that, I started realizing, man, like I'm really living in this moment, or I'm really not in a hurry, or you know what, that email that this person really sent me, they want me to go rush and look through a manual so that they can get the answer. No, I think I'm going to pass on that for today, and I'm gonna kick back up with it tomorrow, or maybe give them an opportunity to see if they can step out of their box and figure out something for themselves. So it's really was a reflection period. And as we kind of on that vibe of reflection and growth, I sometimes go through a phase of reinventing myself. I talked about March 13th, 2020, 2 feet on the ground, saying yes to myself every day. I felt that was a period of reinvention. Do you ever go through this phase, and what are some events that led you to doing this, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I think in that self-reflection, I don't know that I ever reinvent, but I know I'm big on adjusting. And maybe that's kind of the same thing a little bit. Um, yeah, that I don't know another way to answer that. Because I'm really big on, unless it's just like terrible,
Right. So,
and we're like, oh, let's turn it upside down.
right. So what is
I
your, so I'm sorry to cut you off, but what does your adjustment look like then?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of like the game of basketball for me. Like sometimes just little minor adjustments, little tweaks here and there make things better. And a lot of times I think those involve relationships. So like when you're engaging with someone, like with one of my players, for example, if it's not working, if I'm not getting through to them, if something isn't connecting, what do I need to do in my means of communication, both verbally and physically? Like what emotionally, like what can I do differently to make the slightest adjustment to get her to get it? And I that's just a player coach relationship, but in all relationships. And usually, to be honest with you, for me, I always think I can be a better communicator. So I usually, how can I adjust my words? How can I adjust my thoughtfulness? How can I adjust my empathy in ways to like reach people and come across in the manner that I want to? So that would be, I don't know. I know that's not like reinvention, but I don't know that I rarely just scratch the whole thing and start over.
Yeah. Trust me,
Maybe I should.
I've done it a couple times, and you'd be surprised. Like, and I don't know if it was really reinvent myself, because I think I always go back to the base of love for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my love and my passion that's always there. So I don't know if it's a total reinvention. I think it's more of an adjustment. And I think that's probably a better way of putting it. But I like your answer for adjustments, because sometimes you do that and need to do that. And I like how you talked about adjusting on communication. I know CB's big on communication. She stays on me, and I'm not the greatest communicator either, but sometimes on the other side, if somebody can help you learn a skill or get better at a skill, be a purpose partner for you, they can make you better. So I understand that adjustment. So that's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah. What's an area that you feel like you've kind of done that reinvention before?
To be honest with you, like this whole year has been a reinvention for me. I grew up in a family of military family. So I grew up with grandparents. My sister and I were actually split when we were kids. And then we ended up coming back together after a situation I went through as a young man. And I always felt like I needed to impress. So I did everything. I played 4 varsity sports. I got my degree in 2 years. I got my master's in 4, went and played college ball. Like, it was like always go, go, go. What's the next step? What's the next thing? And this year it's been more of it doesn't matter what I have to put. There's no output that I need to impress. Like, I just need to be myself. So I step back. I put, my passion and love for what I do first, for my family. And honestly, it's opened up some pretty big doors. And I didn't realize that those doors were that open, but it still needed to be that situation where I had to stop trying to impress and be for everyone else and kind of step back and be for myself. So that's where my theory of 2 feet on the ground, saying yes to yourself every day, makes it a better. So that's my reinvention, or my wipe the slate clean, do it again.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you have something daily that you do that reminds you to keep going forward and keep continuing just the footsteps that you've put in place already. I love that. That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got to hit on communication just because it is my thing. But I love that you say that, because as much as I hold communication to one of my highest standards, I'm not a great communicator either. Like, that's something that because I value it so highly, I work at every day, And the other day I was at practice and I had to adjust because I snapped at a kid. I saw his expression. I was like, shoot, I definitely shouldn't have used that tone of voice. Like, that wasn't the right way to handle the situation. Okay, now I know for next time. Let me make sure that I handle this situation different when it arises again. So I think adjustments are important. Like, we always talk about leveraging the lesson from situations. So that's something that's super important to both of us. And I love that you brought communication up, because that's honestly, I think that's one of the hardest places to be excellent in. But if you continue to grow, like I say, 1% better every day, then you'll continue to be better at it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, whenever I left Tennessee, like, I had my last meeting with Coach Summit whenever I graduated, and I asked her, I said, what are some things I can do to be a really good coach one day? And she said, watch as much film as you possibly can. Just watch tons of film. Just watch a lot of film. And she was talking about how much it'll help you learn the game and be better in this and that. And then she goes, and she was like, you can never get too good at communicating. She was like, you'll never. So when you talk about pinnacles, you'll never reach that, like, I'm at that level, because communication is something we'll always feel like we need to improve on, get better at. So I feel you, 100%. Like, and that's the thing, right? We're going to screw it up. You're going to see that kid's face, but recognizing it. So when you're communicating with somebody and you see their face, recognizing and being like, okay, that didn't go well. There's a lot of people who say something and they get the same reaction and they don't even notice that it didn't go well. So you even being able to do that, I think that's a huge self-reflection in its own.
Right. Acknowledge, embrace, change.
There you go.
Bringing those 3 words.
Y'all got all these levels to all of these. I'm catching on to all these phrases y'all got.
Yeah. My question to you, though, is what advice would you give the younger Calamity, or just younger people that you get to influence when it comes to life as a whole?
Yeah. Surround yourself with really, really good people, like, all the time. And if it's not working, it's okay. Let it go. It's fine. I've always said, keep your network really big, keep your circle really small, and then really be able to understand the difference between those two. That's something that I wish someone would have told me a long time ago. It probably would have saved me a little bit of time, but I had to grow and understand and get through that too. You have to screw it up sometimes to really know, like, what the right thing looks like. Oh my gosh, I could write a book on this one, because I could just tons. Guard your heart, guard your thoughts. Really, like, going back to what we said earlier, like, really protect what you're taking in every day. Again, I'll reiterate, treating people really well. I don't think you can get too good at that either. And then really understanding that it's not about you. and that it's way bigger than you. I think when you can, I don't have a better way to put it, when you know and you have a spiritual relationship with Christ and you realize that like everything you're doing has a purpose to it. Every footstep you take, there's reason for it. And when you realize that none of that is really about you, you walk a little bit differently. You go about your day a little bit differently. And I think those are some things that I wish I would have probably learned a little bit earlier. But like I said, I had to screw it up a little bit here and there to really be able to know what was important to me.
Man, I like that you said keep your network big and your circle small, because that's just me to a T. Like, I was in a diner the other day with my uncle in my hometown, and someone came up to me and said, "Hey," was just talking to me, and he looked at me and he goes, my uncle's from Indiana. He's never been in the South before, and he's like, "You just know everybody." And it's like, I do know a lot of people, but you don't see me running with a lot of people. And part of that is, I do the thing that you just said, guard your heart and your thoughts, be careful what you're intaking in. And I really get lost in a lot of passion. I remember when CB used to, come to the gym 6 a.m., stay after, work out with the boys. And, she was my student intern. Like, she was always thirsting for the game. She was like, Pat Summitt told you to be a student of the game, watch film, be a good communicator. She was one of those people. And I caught that early. And I even caught her, defending me a couple of times when people were like, Coach Bearden's he's a big butthole, or he's arrogant or this, that. And she's just like, you guys just don't know this guy. That's the problem. You're not in his circle. You're not in his inner circle to really understand what he's about. And, I even find that sometimes that my passion kind of, goes a little bit overboard, but it's not passion in a way where I'm not able to take a step back and reflect and grow. Area Code 459 was created by me and CB. And we always leverage love and passion when it comes to our relationships and, quite frankly, all of our commitments. Can you explain a time where your love and passion for something went through a reflection, growth, and adjustment stage?
Ooh. Oh gosh. I don't really know. I think I probably go through that just to bring this all back full circle, like every transition that I've had, I feel like there's this process that you're talking about, because I'm leaving one thing and entering another. And that's hard to do because you're talking about coaching young women. And CB and I have talked about this a little bit before. It's never your intention to come into someone's life and then depart. Mm-hmm. But as you're leaving one program and entering another, you're entering new people, you're entering new opportunities, you're entering new relationships. And that doesn't mean you're leaving everything else from the past behind. Mm. But when you make that transition, you are going through that reflection process and seeing what adjustments need to be made, and knowing and understanding that those may be the adjustments you think you need to make. And then you get there and the culture is completely different. The people are completely different. And then there's another adjustment that needs to be made. Mm-hmm. So I just think in every transition that I've had, I've kind of been through that process in some way. And, God put this on my heart to coach and impact the lives of young women. Like, I love the game of basketball. I'm extremely competitive. I want to win. And that has nothing to do with why I do this. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a vehicle for life and impacting these young women. And I think that love and that passion that you're talking about is what fuels this. But it's my love and passion for Christ and serving my purpose in Him that brings it all full circle.
I do like that. And I always tell people, I'm like, man, you show me a coach that don't like to win, man. I'm telling you what, I'm from Gary, Indiana originally. So I'll be the first to tell you I'm very competitive, right outside Chicago. Like, I want to win. But also, I want to win for myself. But at the other end, I want to win for you because I know what that win is like. Like, it's going to bust you through the door. I mean, like I just said, I very passionate, very well, educated, and I've taught for 10 years. So, and I'm still in education. And I know I was explaining to a young lady not too long ago, we were talking about a political process where they were talking about getting paid more minimum wage. And I was explaining to her, I said, I'll give you scenarios. The scenario is, would you rather make minimum wage, would you rather make more money and pay more taxes, or would you rather make minimum wage and they run up your rent anyway? I said, either way it goes, the cost of living, everything's going to still move forward. But what you could do is you can make a stand right now, vote, use your words, use your voice, use your passion, and make the people that have to pay you stick to what they said they're going to do in the sense of capitalism, right? And, it was one of those things where she had to look at it from the situation of, and, I came from a passionate place. I came from a love place, but she had to reflect and understand and adjust and say, you know what, maybe I need to make that situation happen because this ain't about me. Like you said, this is about other people coming behind me, and it's just kind of cool that you said that. And, I've just been so blessed and so happy to have you here. We're coming to the end of our podcast, and at the end, we always come to a huddle, which, you were in one of the greatest huddles with Coach Sutton, man. I know she's so Coach Summit, excuse me, and I know she's so happy because you have talked about adjust, communicate. You talk about one of the best adjusters in the game and one of the best communicators in the game to ever do it. But this is where we communicate to our listeners and our viewers and just let them know, like, hey, this is what you could take from the episode, or this is something that you can leverage going forward after you listen. CB is going to do the call to action first, then I'll let you go, Calamity, and then I'll go last. So go ahead, CB.
Well, I'm going to steal your whole thing. I want you guys to lift 2 feet in today. When you get up out of bed, put your 2 feet on the ground, say yes to yourself, and go do something that you love to do.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to say write down. So get your pen and paper out and write down the people who are in your circle. Like, really, really take a look and see who's in your circle. And then with that, like, who's 2 feet in with you? Like, who's there for you? Who are you in with? And then really kind of make sure that you're separating, like, who's in your circle and who's in your network, and then being able to really connect at a deeper level with the people that you really, really want in your circle.
Good, man. I guess if I was still coaching, this would be a moment where I slam the clipboard down and be like, I should have went first. No, that's okay. I'm going to go with, don't look at it as a reinvention. Look at it as an adjustment. Look at 3 things in your life that you can adjust. It might be communication. It might be habits. It might be something that you are taking in to your life or feeding yourself. Just look at those 3 things, put them in order from importance to not important, and then make sure that you're adjusting and feeding those every day. I'm so happy to have Calamity once again, you on the episode. We're going to end with our mottos. So anything you like to say to your players before they leave the court, we'll let you start, then I'll go, and then CB, you can finish. So
no, you can't let me go first. I didn't know this was coming.
No, I'll go first. I'll go first. That's fine. I'll go first.
I don't know.
Remember that Coach B loves you. Let love be the frequency. And remember, it's about relationships, not transactions.
You go. I wasn't ready for this.
All right. As y'all know, don't discount your value, and let's get 1% better every day.
I love it. I'm going to say be one way all the time. Do things the right way. Be there for people 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 second at a time. Be where your feet are in the moment, one way every day.
I love it, man. Area Code 459 has been blessed to have you, Miss Calamity. Thank you so much. Coach
Thank
B.
you, guys. Good to see y'all.
Peace.
Thank you.